7.4's Math Moment. Today, students learn about cross multiplication. For our first example, it says solve the proportion using cross multiplication. Cross multiplication means just that. They're going to multiply across the problem. So in this case, I'm going to have 15c times 24 times 35. Now to solve this problem, I'm going to need to go ahead and multiply 24 and 35. Then I can go ahead and finish this problem. The 15c equals something. I can go ahead and finish the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and take 24 times 35 over here. I know 4 times 5 is 20. I know 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 more is 12. Put my 0 down for my placeholder. 4 times 3 is going to be 12. And I'm going to take 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 1 more is 7. Now I just need to add all of my numbers up for a final answer of 840. So to rewrite this problem, I know 15c equals 840. Now I need to go ahead and solve. I need to isolate for c, which means I'm going to go ahead and divide by 15 because these two numbers smushed together, the variable and the 15, mean it's multiplication, so I'm going to do the opposite to isolate it, which means I'm going to divide by 15. When I do this, I'm going to go ahead and take 840 divided by 15. So 840 divided by 15. When I'm looking at this problem, I need to think how many 15s are there in 8? There aren't any. How many 15s are there in 84? Well, I'm going to use a little bit of my guess and check strategy to figure this out. I'm going to go ahead and think about 15 plus 15 is 30. So I know 30 plus 30 is 60. So I know I'm going to need to be at least in the 5 or 6 range for my first guess and check. So I'm going to take 15 times 6 to start off my math thinking. 5 times 6 is 30. Then I've got 6 times 1, which is 6, plus 3 more is 9. So I have 90, which is a little bit too much. So I'm going to go down 1, which is going to be 15 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry my 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 more is 7. So I have 75, which is just slightly below the 84, which will work. Put my 5 on top. 5 times 15 is 75. When I subtract 75 from 84, I need to find that solution at this point. So I'm going to make this a 7. When I have 14 minus 5, I am going to have 9. Then I need to bring down my last 0. Now it's a good thing I didn't erase in this case because I already know 15 times 6 is 90, which I can use my 6 up here. 6 times 15 is 90. So I have nothing left over. So my answer in this case, the proportion that I'd have, when I've got 24 over 15, I'd have 56 over 35 for my proportion. All right, going on to question number 2. It says solve the proportion using any method. I'm going to show a method, the factor puzzle method, which is very popular with 6th grade students. Pearl purchases 6 pounds of trail mix for $20. I'm already hearing some information that I'm going to need to use. Ruby purchases 14 pounds. How much must Ruby pay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make this into a factor puzzle like I mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and draw it on my board. I'm going to write down that I've got my pounds to my money. So I'm going to write down she has 6 pounds for $20. And then Ruby has 14 pounds. And we're trying to figure out how much she's going to need to pay. When I look at this first part of the factor puzzle, I see automatically that I can take out 2's. So when I take my 2 over here, I have a 2 over here. I know that my 2 times 3 gives me 6, so my 3 is going to shoot down. And then I am going to look up here at the top. I have my 2 and my 10. Bring this one down. When I'm looking at this problem, I know 3 times something doesn't give me 14. So in this case, a factor puzzle doesn't work out like I thought, and your student might encounter this when they're doing their homework. So they need to go ahead and cross multiply and isolate the variable like we've done up here, but this is just in a factor puzzle format. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to, the question mark, I'm going to put an x instead, is 6x equals 20 times 14. Again, students are going to have to go ahead and multiply this out first to get what that is so they can go ahead and continue to isolate. So when I take 20 times 14, I'm going to take 0 times 4, which is 0, 2 times 4, which is 8. Put my 0 down. 0 times 1 is 0, and then 2 times 1 is 2, for an answer of 280. So now I know 6x equals 280. Again, I'm going to go ahead and isolate the variable again, which means I'm going to divide by my 6. So I'm going to divide by 6. So I have to take 280 divided by 6. I'm going to go ahead and write this right over here. I have 280 divided by 6. How many 6's are there in 2? There aren't any. How many 6's are there in 28? I know 6 times 4 is 24, which is close, without going over. So I'm going to use that. And then I've got my 8 minus 4, which is 4. 2 minus 2 is nothing. And bring down my 0. How many 6's are there in 40? I know that 6 times 6 is 36. So I'm going to put down 6. 6 times 6 is 36. When I subtract, I go ahead and I'm going to get 4 again, which means I would bring up my decimal and bring down a 0. And as we can see, we'd have a repeating decimal in this case. So we're going to see that we're going to have 40 again, which I put another 6. 6 times 6 is 36, for a repeating decimal of $46.66 repeating. So how much will Ruby pay? She's going to pay $46.66. If you have any questions about this math lesson, make sure you see your math teacher.